You know how business deals can sometimes feel like this giant, scary black box, right? Just full of dense contracts and language that makes your head spin. Well, what if we could just peel back all those layers and look at a real world agreement? Today, that is exactly what we are going to do. So let's dive into this genuine proposal for AI consulting and see how a modern deal really gets made, from the first conversation all the way to the final signature. All right, here it is. This is the real deal. A proposal for AI-powered consulting services made for a company called Paradigm Visa Services. We're going to walk through this thing piece by piece to understand all the key ingredients. You know, the big promise, what's actually included, what it costs, and the legal stuff that holds it all together. Okay, now this is what I find so cool right off the bat. The way this proposal kicks things off isn't with some cold corporate jargon. It's a direct personal note. It starts by saying, hey, we already have a good thing going. The whole point of the document, it says, is just to make working together smoother, not more complicated. It's a powerful reminder that at the end of the day, business is still just people working with people. So with that human connection established, the proposal gets right down to business. It moves straight to the core promise. This is the why, the whole reason this deal even exists. And it's a big one. A massive, massive leap in efficiency, all thanks to AI. And boom, here is the knockout punch. This table is basically the entire sales pitch in one single image. It's a dead simple side-by-side comparison. Here's how long it takes your team, and here's how long it takes with my AI agents. This isn't some vague promise of improvement. No, this is concrete. It's value that you can measure in the one thing that matters most, time. And they just brilliantly hammer the point home. They take the most jaw-dropping example from that table and put it right here, front and center. Think about that for a second. A task that could tie up one of your people for an entire week is now done in a couple of hours. That is the wow factor. That's the moment the client stops seeing this as a cost and starts seeing it for what it is, a serious strategic advantage. Okay, so the value is crystal clear. But for any agreement to actually work, you need boundaries, right? You need rules of the road. And that brings us to the scope of work. This is where the practical details get laid out to make sure everyone's on the same page. So here's the what's included list. You can see it's a good mix. You've got the heavy lifting, like research and document analysis, strategic advice on automation, and even those quick, I just need an expert answer right now type of questions. This gives the client a really solid feel for what they can ask for. But honestly, what's not included is maybe even more important. This right here is how you prevent problems down the line. Notice how clear the lines are. This is strategic consulting, not formal legal advice. It's for specific questions, not for just shooting the breeze. Setting these boundaries protects everyone's time and, of course, the client's budget. It's just smart. And speaking of budgets, let's get to the part everyone secretly flips to first. Yup, the money. How in the world do you put a price tag on a service this valuable? Well, the pricing is structured in these simple 30-minute blocks, and it leads with what it calls the friend rate, which is 1,575,000 Indonesian rupiah. That language again, friend rate, just keeps reinforcing that personal, relationship-first approach we saw at the very beginning. And that single block rate is then put into context. You can see how it all scales up for longer sessions or those really deep dive research projects. This block system gives the client a ton of flexibility. They can use the service for a quick 5-minute question or for a massive multi-day project. Okay, now this slide is a total masterclass in positioning your price. They don't just state the friend rate and leave it at that. Nope, they frame it with market context. They show that the effective hourly rate lands firmly in that top-tier specialist generative AI expert category. It's such a brilliant move. It basically says, yes, this is a special rate for you, but don't for a second think it's a discount. You are paying for and getting absolutely elite-level expertise. So we've got the value, we've got the scope, and we've got the price. The final piece of the puzzle is all about trust and protection. And that means we got to talk about the non-disclosure agreement, the NDA. But don't worry, we're going to slice right through the legalese and make it really simple. It all boils down to this one key idea: confidential information. What is it? Well, it's pretty much anything shared between the two parties that isn't already public knowledge. This simple definition is the bedrock that the entire agreement of trust is built on. But anything is a bit vague, right? So the document makes it real by giving concrete examples. For the client, it's stuff like their customer lists and their business plans. For the consultant, it's their secret sauce, their AI architecture, their special techniques. This makes it absolutely crystal clear what needs to be protected on both sides of the table. So, what does protecting it actually mean in practice? Well, the NDA breaks it down into 5 simple rules. 1. Keep it secret. 2. Only use it for this specific job, nothing else. 3. Protect it with reasonable care. 4. Only let people see it who absolutely need to. And 5. If something goes wrong, you tell the other person right away. It turns a scary legal concept into a simple, actionable checklist. And that brings us right to the end of our journey. After laying out the relationship, the value, the scope, the price, and the protections, there's only one thing left to do: make the final commitment. And here we are, the signature page. This is the culmination of everything we've talked about. This is the moment where the proposal transforms from just a document into a formal partnership, a real commitment from both sides to move forward on these terms. But hang on, look at that final line, right above the signatures. It doesn't end with some stern legal warning. It ends with an invitation to talk. This document is a starting point, not a wall. It brings everything full circle, all the way back to the beginning, reinforcing that this is about enabling great work together, not building walls between people. And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This whole proposal is about using cutting-edge AI to turn days of human work into a matter of hours. And yet, its success, the reason it works, hinges on all these very human elements: trust, clear communication, a collaborative spirit. It kind of makes you wonder, as our tools get more and more powerful and automated, how do we make sure that our agreements, the way we promise to work together, remain fundamentally human?